To open the pitch menu and begin scoring an at-bat, click the baseball where the pitcher's mound would appear. Then, select the result of each pitch. If there is a strikeout, the app will automatically move on to the next hitter and record the out after the third strike. If the at-bat results in a ball in play, select that option. Then, categorize the play. In this case, the ball hit was a line drive. If there is a hit, the app will place the runner on base. We're going to walk through a few basic scoring plays. To begin scoring an at-bat, tap the pitcher's mound, and the pitch menu will give you every possible outcome for that current play. The type of play we'll start off with is a single. So we'll first choose ball in play from the pitch menu. Then, since the hit was a ground ball, we're going to choose that option. Next, we'll tap on single. Lastly, we need to drag the fielder to where the ball was hit, which is a very important step because where you drag the fielder determines where the hit or out will appear on the batter spray chart. So once we've done that, the shields will automatically advance to first base. The process will be similar for a flyout. We'll click the pitcher's mound again to start the at-bat. Though this time we're choosing fly ball and batter out. Then fly out. And we're going to drag Gilkey to the location in left field where he caught the ball. Once you're finished, click done, and you'll be ready to score the next hitter. Scoring a strikeout is pretty easy. Simply assign 3 strikes, and you can specify whether each strike was called or swinging, and the batter will be out. A play that we often get questions about is the fielder's choice. First, it's important to understand what exactly a fielder's choice is. So, a fielder's choice is when the scorekeeper determines that the player in the field who fielded the ball could have gotten the batter out at first base, but opted not to and chose to make a play at another base. Oftentimes, this results in another runner being out, but an out doesn't necessarily have to be recorded on a fielder's choice. So the batter is not called out on a fielder's choice, but the at-bat does go against his or her batting average, since they would have been out if the play was made at first. In this case, Ordonez fields the ball and gets the force out at second. But since McGuire is not called out at first, we choose fielder's choice instead of batter out. Then we drag Ordonez to where the ball is hit and tap on Baerga, who records the putout at second base. The app knows that McGuire was not out at first base, but doesn't know if the Shields was out or safe at second base, so it prompts us to resolve the play. Since the Shields was called out, I'm going to click the red X and select out. Since this was the third out of the inning, the app will automatically advance to the next half inning. Another play we often receive questions about is a drop third strike. As a coach or scorekeeper, you may be familiar with this rule, but as a refresher, a player can only advance to first base on a drop third strike if there are less than 2 outs and the base is unoccupied, or under any circumstances when there are 2 outs. So to avoid confusion, Game Changer will only present the drop third strike option on the pitch menu when there are 2 strikes in the count and the batter, by rule, is able to reach first base on this type of play. The drop third strike option will appear at the bottom of the menu. A common misconception is that when the batter reaches first base on a drop third strike, you can score a throwing error on the catcher if he or she throws the ball away. But by rule, a runner can only advance to first base in this scenario as a result of a passed ball or wild pitch on a drop third strike. Now, if the batter advances an additional base as a result of the bad throw, then an error can be scored. but to account for the batter's advancement to first base, it must be a wild pitch or pass ball. The app will automatically advance runners the number of bases that the hit is worth. So on a single, any runner will advance one base, or two bases on a double, and so on and so forth. Obviously, that is not always how it works out in a game, so Game Changer allows you to manually move runners from base to base, or move them back to the correct base if they did not advance on the play. In this case, Alfonso lines a single to center field, and Johnson went from first to third on the play. How I'm going to account for this is by clicking on Johnson and dragging him to third base. Now, you'll see two buckets, one labeled out and one labeled safe. Anytime you manually move a runner from one base to the next, you'll see both of these options. Johnson safely made it to third, so I'm going to drop him in the green bucket. Then, you'll be given a list of options to explain Johnson's advancement. Since he went to third on the single, I'll choose on last play. Now, let's say that the pitcher throws a ball and Alfonso steals second on the play. I'm going to click the pitch menu, then select ball. Next, I click on the screen off of the menu and advance Alfonso to second base, choosing stolen base from the available options. Next, I'm going to score an infield single in which Johnson scores, but Alfonso does not advance to third on the play. In this play, Clayton makes a play deep in the hole, but cannot prevent Johnson from scoring or Olerud from reaching first base. He does, however, manage to keep Alfonso at second. The app assumed Alfonso made it to third, so we'll need to send him back to second base. First, let's resolve Johnson and call him safe at the plate. We send Alfonso back to second base the same way that we manually advance a runner, by dragging him and dropping him in the safe box. Then, we'll select Didn't Advance. To score an error, select Ball in Play and choose the error option. Then, select the fielders involved in the play. During this play, we'll say that Gaetti made an error while trying to get the runner out at first base. After I click Done, I'm presented with the option to choose which player committed the error, and I'll choose the third baseman, Gaetti. Now, it's always possible to have multiple errors on a play, so how you would score that is by manually advancing the player, then choosing On Different Error, and you'll now be able to assign that error, and this time I'll give it to McGuire, the first baseman.